S3 was just revealed, so let's just get this started. Paris. Atsuko Nishida's signature style is usually a soft or blurred background with a soft to medium edge for all the Pokemon. Here she uses diffuse light, and she achieves a softer look this way, and she's been doing the series for decades now, so she's really good at it. Parasect. Miki Tanaka continues to use a flat, false perspective look with a cardboard cutout aesthetic. It's reminiscent of old woodblock printing, and you can see the difference in detail from the foreground to the background. It's a lot harder to make than it looks. Maskippa. Masakazu Fukuda's art is looking more and more modern each time. Here we see a very digital style with a multiply overlay being used and the shapes of the leaves being erased from that overlay. The rim lighting and overhead lighting really pull off the feel of being in the forest, but I wouldn't want to run into him. Yanapu. Mina Nakae's beautiful use of paper grain here is incredible. The white of the paper, assuming this is traditionally drawn, create the perfect cloudy light behind that tree. One trick to learning watercolors like this is making use of the already perfect lighting that the paper gives you. Now you're just painting color and darkening value. Watercolor gives that lifelike grain that fur has in real life. Yanaki. Hasegawa Saki comes in with beautiful digital work. Dreamy background with haze on the forest floor obscuring what would have taken away from Yanaki's focus on the foreground. There are loads of visual tricks you can do to get someone to focus on what you want them to, and despite the line thickness not changing, it's interesting to see the growth of his tail and paw as it come towards the camera. Mokuro. Hyogo Nosuke does it again. The dreamy glow of the early sunset bakes the forest gulch. Masterful handling of hard shadows and soft shadows, being used the further into perspective you get away from the camera. Hyogo Nosuke is probably my favorite style of the series, although that's always changing. Fukuthrow. Mitsuhiro Arita blows us all away with his traditional approach to digital. Everyone can learn from this man. Here we see specular lighting on Fukuthrow, meaning we're supposed to focus on him, but there's also quite a lot of focus on the tree trunk. Arita wants us to see the work he put in not only to Fukuthrow's smooth lighting, but the environments he works so hard on. He's drawn over 600 cars, and they're all master level. It's only a matter of time until Arita gets a gallery or an art book or something. Juniper. Ryota Murayama's artwork is a bit obscured in the digital version due to the hollow lines, so this will differ when you have it in your hand, but it doesn't take away from the perfect diffusion of lighting that's paramount to his style. He has a grasp on light scattering, something that takes your art to the next level. With soft, Play-Doh-like blending, you can feel Juniper swooping in the camera. Helgar. I'm always happy to see Johto Pokemon, and Ayaka Yoshida gives us a wicked 3D render of our Devil Dog. I love the saturation, it's even more red than the Fire-type template of the card. It's going to be a really nice card to have in hand. The V cards have won me over. Achamo. Yuka Mori's macro photography looks beautiful here. I wonder how old this photo is. As usual, the figurine she created of Machamo looks petite and almost like a gummy. And I've always loved Achamo's beak shape, it looks so mischievous. And I wish she'd sell reproductions of her figure. Wakashiamo. Kodama shows what the ceiling of digital work can look like. The absolute motion in this one is incredible. The twisting of the body is hard to capture unless you work meticulously to get there. To be able to look at anybody and get a sense of their motion and exaggerate that artistically, that takes a long time. We see a cool shadow here, purple because of the yellow light of the afternoon sun. Burstiamo. Ryota Fuse's art has a sticker look to it. The thick lines reminiscent of anime cells combined with the cell shading really make this look like a souped up frame of a show. I wonder what program they use. Baopu. Megumi Higuchi's work looks like high-end oekaki art, the type you'd see when you were a kid and aspired to be like that. Little highlights here and there make it look like Baopu is spitting fire as it eats and swings by. What a messy kid. Baoki. 0313. 0313? Is there another way of saying that name? Perhaps gives us the same Baopu, but evolved. Maybe Baopu was a wild one, but then a trainer took him in, and now he lives in the city? Who knows? This background has a cute style. Everything's geometric, but the lighting and color differences are what give the depth. It reminds me of Animal Crossing. Galarian Hihidaruma. Misa Tsutsui gives us a visually busy, erratic look at the supposed Zen mode. I don't know what's so Zen about an angry rocket snowman monkey, but there you go. Pillow shading works here with the yellow highlights of the fire, as Hihidaruma's fire is providing the light to this piece. The background suggests this is happening at night, so again, how is he Zen? Suicune. Sotaro uses smooth blending and specular lighting to give this Suicune a dark and imposing look. The slight glow of its eyes shows that Suicune's serious about causing the storm. It seems like it's just after sunset. Jilanth. Maho gives us a simplistic look at the flora of the deep sea, and a very unique looking card unlike the rest of their work. Jilanth here is a little more complex, but still quite simple in its shape, helped with the beautiful hard edge lighting to show how hard the body actually is. Hiyapu. Ryoma Uratsuka. Is that a new artist? Correct me if I'm wrong. This kid is causing rainbows to appear between his hands. If you had water powers, you'd probably do the same. This cute cutout watercolor style reminds you of like Herbie or Yoshi, and it would look great on merchandise. Hiyaki. Shigenori Negishi gives us a soft edge shading style here, but that's perfect for the rocks in the background, which seem to be smoothed over from the tide pools eroding it over time. I never know if any of these idiosyncrasies are intentional. Do they intentionally make the rocks look eroded, or is that wired into their art through seeing that in real life? Galarian Darumaka. Shin Nagasawa's work here reminds me of Koki Saito's, actually. I think it's because of the values of gray to white being closer to soft shadows than the shiny shadows we're used to with Nagasawa. The background looks like Kagemaru Himeno's work too, with the sparkles and showing a wide-angle perspective that reaches even as far back as the mountains. Vanipati. Whenever I see pink lighting in a snowy piece of art, I just know they probably grew up around snow. We even have inner shadow lighting with the pink invading the cooler green tinted shadows. Sanosuke Sakuma makes the perspective and focus known, with the foreground evergreen being more detailed than the ones in the back. The natural fall off of focus with the hazy lighting is also shown perfectly here. Vani Rich. Shibuzo's work here almost looks 3D, and also because of the luminosity of the base and the shadow color being so close, our eye tricks us into seeing it as form. Remember that most of these aren't actually 3D, everything's a visual trick. So here we have a happy sunset in an icy forest, and Vani Rich is just puffing along, probably thinking of vanilla beans. By Vanilla. Kodama's work blows me away here. Their focus here is on By Vanilla, yeah, but they also want you to focus on the realistic distortion of the branches in the water. That happens because of the refraction index difference between air and water. I love this one. Hidoide. Tomokazu Komiya is a master of the craft. Each work is like psychedelic, with wonky colors working together perfectly. Hidoide looks like it's jealous of Sunigo's happiness. It looks like Sunigo's singing, actually. And it looks like it's waiting for some coral branches to fall off so he can have a snack. I mean, what are they even made of? Chitin? That's weird. Go eat something else, Hidoide. Do Hidoide. Once again, the digital style of Masakazu Fukuda continues to evolve over the years. They're really fond of rim lighting, and it works. It separates the subject from the background. I imagine this as a live stream setup underwater to, like, watch Hidoide go about its day, until it notices and attacks. And do you think the chat is full of W's now in true Japanese live stream fashion? Kajirigame. Aki CG Works does a really nice job here with the texture, and once again, the V cards are very colorful. I wonder how children like these compared to the more realistic like GXs and EXs of the past. Gigantamax Kajirigame. A true kaiju. The imposing stance shows off how huge he is. I think that's the purpose of the ever-present clouds on like Gigantamax Pokemon, to show just how big these guys get. This one is going to look great in person, as the embossed lines for the texture look great here. It's going to feel amazing. Uo no Ragon. Hitoshi Ariga gives us the monster itself, a certainty to find in online battling. Ariga takes a simplistic approach to the composition of Uo no Ragon, but it doesn't mean it's not fluid. You could tell it's charging up to bite the camera. Maybe it's another angry live streamer. Uo Childon. Shin Nagasawa's shiny shading is shown off here splendidly. The upside-down deep-sea monster looks peaceful here. And you know what? I don't believe the Pokédex entries for these fossils. Karalis is kind of just pulling things from thin air. These guys are functioning beings, despite being topsy-turvy. Rakurai. Wow. Yumi really makes this pop with the sparks and clouds in the background. The lighting makes me think that this is taking place at the moment of a lightning strike, and when the entire world around it is lit up. Livolt. This is so cute and cheapy, unexpected for this Pokemon. I really like it. Nagimiso makes sure to show off the maelstrom in the background caused by the twisting infinity zone from Mugen Daina. The foreground and background are equally detailed, so Nagimiso differentiates it purely by lighting level. Livolt is perfectly lit, however, so you don't forget who the card is of. Kapuko Keko. Hasuno gives us a really dynamic look for Kapuko Keko. Is he charging in to save everyone from the infinity zone? There's a sense of urgency given by those blurred motion lines, which are also crackling with electricity. Hasuno's subtle brushwork blending is shown off here, giving a natural texture to what is a very unnatural looking design. Bachiragon. Despite being a new Pokemon in the world, Misatsui places Bachiragon in a prehistoric-looking setting, with amazing cloudwork subtly bringing our gaze towards Bachiragon. Then with a multiply and color dodge overlay, she uses soft and medium edges to show us just where the lighting is lighting up. Bachildon. Hitoshi Ariga gives us more signature style here, shiny but angular. I wouldn't be surprised if Ariga actually designed these fossils. Ariga's work is very shonen, to say it's very visceral and childlike in a good way. Bachildon looks like it's having a good time. Again, I don't believe the dex entries at all. Purin. Motofumi Fujiwara gives us Purin in a flat plane. Purin is round and puffy, and it can't be contained in the shot. With its eyes looking like the anime, it's kind of just missing the marker to sing into. Here the focus is actually on the foreground flowers. Purin herself is shaded with a very soft edge to show how jiggly she is. If you poke a Purin, does it feel like memory foam? Pukurin. Lee Hyun-jung is back. It's been a long time since their last illustration. I think since Platinum. That's great. I'm so happy to see old artists return. And I think they were working on the actual game series, so it's not like they were gone from Pokemon. Pukurin seems to be at peace here. It's still softly shaded and still in a flower setting, but not in plains this time. Perhaps the Purin evolved after a life of collecting flowers and stumbled upon a moonstone. Gothimu. I love when Pokemon are placed in urban settings, and Mizue transports us to a park at night. Gothimu is standing under a street lamp, and it's perfectly depicted, with a strong hard edge and a short fall off to Umbra. It's really, it shows us that the lighting is artificial, especially since it takes place at night. Gothimiru. Solso delivers that thick edge and cloud-like shading. If I had to guess, I think they do all of their work on one layer, meticulously adding in detail where it's needed with a soft brush. I think that's a very traditional approach to digital work, and it's one that's daunting to do for any digital artist, but once you do it, you realize how fun it is. Gothiruzel. Eri Yamaki gives us a look at telekinesis. Without using tricks like glow, Yamaki shows us the floating blocks of earth with stray blades of grass and petals. The rendering on the bows is impressive. It gives that crushed velvet look to it, which I've actually never considered. Gobit. Ryota Fuse renders Gobit very mechanically, almost like metal. It's fitting for how geometric its design is. Lots of volume is introduced with the perfectly placed brushstrokes to show where the light is hitting. The spiral of the infinity zone is showing up here again, casting light onto Gobit. Golug. Anesaki dynamic is quickly becoming one of my top illustrators. Look at this, the particles of dust in the foreground, the clear line of action in Golug's body, as well as the perfect shading and framing. It's so clean and polished, yet cathartic. Mimikyu. Ryota Murayama's second card in the set. It's a bit of a departure from what I'm used to from them. The motion blur speckles are not something I expected, but it gives a really spooky feeling to this haunted forest, and Mimikyu's dummy head looks cute as usual, and the line work is very clean here. Sanigon. 5-bond graphics kind of accomplished a Mitsuhiro Arita look to the ectoplasm body despite being a render. They did a really good job. Nakrar. Asako Ito's macro photography is of course just as beautiful as usual. It looks straight out of Yoshi's Woolly World. Again, I wonder how big these plushes are, and how does she decide which one to do? Like, what Pokemon? Does she even decide, or is she like assigned Pokemon per set? Vibrava. Sumiyoshi Kizuki gives us gray-lined Vibrava cutting through the grass. I guess the speed of its wings is kind of like the perfect lawnmower. The gray lines give this pencil crown-like look to it. Flygon. Hatachu gives us almost chibi renders of strong Pokemon. I thought their work looked like figurines, and that's no different here. I can see this being a Kyoto TCG figure, if only it had a few more particles surrounding it. Hippopotas. Shin Nagasawa's workload for the set is pretty expansive. I wonder what the timeline is for creating a card for him. Here we see more use of the overlay airbrush multiply layers and rim lighting to separate the subject from the crumbling background. Kabaldon. Keiichiro Ito? Man. I mean, wow, the fat folds on his shoulder, the connective tissue of his mouth, the yellow light and purple shadow, and the perfect amount of detail where he wants you to focus. The sand looks like Arita in some spots too. If I had to guess, I would say he uses some Corel program as well. Dosaidon. SK Yoshinobu has an even more toy-like style rendering than Hatachu. Here it looks like a toy you'd find in like a big box store in like an aisle. This one's surprisingly washed out, but perhaps that's intentional because of the high noon light. Nagetsu Kesaru. Satoshi Nakai did a really nice job on the rendering of the tree trunk, as well as, oddly enough, the spine of Nagetsu Kesaru. As the official artworks of all the Pokemon remain consistent in minimal detail, it's always interesting to see the interpretation of musculature not depicted otherwise. Itomaru. Kyoko Umemoto has such a cute style here. The dew on the web is stylized in a very appealing way. This is where style supersedes reality in a style. Never forget, though, a style is nothing without the fundamentals, of which she clearly knows from how well Itomaru is drawn here. The mix of tilt shift and forced perspective make this look like a pop-up book. Ariados. 4 cards already. Shin Nagasawa must work fast or impress creatures or something. The foreground looks almost 3D, and I wonder if it is. Wondering if Shin Nagasawa was experimenting with 3D environments to speed up his workflow. If not, that's really well done moss. As for Ariados itself, it's a very metallic statue look to it that I really dig. It feels like if you knocked on it, you'd hear that like hollow aluminum sound. Crobat. Planeta Mochizuki reminds me of One Piece's Impel Down arc with this one. The blend of pink and purple remind me of Magellan. And it's another really good V, and I think the gimmick works well this generation. I'm so sold on it. Galarian Zigzaguma. Koki Saito with an originally Gen 3 Pokemon gives me such EX Ruby and Sapphire vibes. Koki Saito's work remains consistent as usual with soft edge lighting. Galarian Masuguma. Akira Komayama uses pink lighting of dusk to really sell the towering over Masuguma. Unfortunately, I don't find him imposing because he's just too cute. Tachi Fusaguma. 5 cards in the set for Shin Nagasawa. That's incredible. And I like seeing the veteran artists take on new Pokemon, so it's really nice to see a dynamic pose for Tachi Fusaguma. I can't make out the background too well because of the digital foil, but the clouds look really cool from what I can see. Zuruku. Miki Kudo knocked it out of the park. This might be my favorite of the set so far. I love urban settings, I love Gen 5 Pokemon, and I love a lineless storybook style. Add that in, that there are 3 little dorks, and I'm happy. They're so small. Zuruzukin. There's Tetsuya Koizumi. I was wondering whether beautiful shading would pop up in this set. That lamppost is impressive, as the detail in all the elements of this. Zuruzukin looks like it's having mad trouble pulling up its pants, though. At this point, why not just buy a new pair? Maika. Sui. There we go. Sui lives up to their name again, with watery light, liquid blending, and soft glow for days. Maika looks translucent too. I love when the material of a Pokemon is pushed to be a little bit more realistic. It's an awesome job. Calaminero. Kawayo the Legend gives us a masterpiece once again. Even that tiny peak of clouds is dripping in skill. The rendering on the skin is perfect too. Calaminero is a really fun Pokemon to draw, and you could do so much with the framing. Hoopa Unbound. Sotaro's specular lighting here works perfectly with Hoopa's rings, looking really metallic. And the definition of the muscles and bones in the hands coming toward this reminds me of a final boss. This is an awesome piece. Using single strokes to define such musculature, it's amazing. Kutsune. Misatsutsui drew 3 of them running, but them being thieves, did they steal those berries? I mean, what use would a fox have with a basket made for a biped? You got some explaining to do. Though I'm impressed with the detail of the faraway elements, like the tree and the roof back there. It's really nice. Foxfly. Akira Komayama made Foxfly look really majestic here. Personally, I can't stop thinking about Mr. Ratburn from the kids show Arthur whenever I see Foxfly, so I'm impressed I actually find him cool in this picture. I'm a fan of those foreground plants too. It looks like something people would eat up if it were on their own on Instagram. People love plants on Instagram. Mugen Daina. It's probably best that 5-on Graphics did this one for the introduction. I mean, how on earth can you draw this guy without a reference? I'd like to see the artists take this on in the future because how? Just how do you draw Mugen Daina? And this feels like the moment that Mugen Daina enters the world through the Infinity Zone Maelstrom to become Gigantamax Mugen Daina. Again, how do you draw it without a reference? I mean, what even is it? It looks like a half-transformed Michael Bay Decepticon. I mean, I'm a fan, but you gotta ask what the inspiration for this was. Hasam. Shin Nagasawa went crazy here. I'm not used to this level of polish and this many levels of shading and light for him. It's absolutely perfect. You can feel the dedication going into getting those reflections down perfectly. I mean, what a card. I think it's going to go down as one of the best of the franchise. I mean, at least for me. The red is really nice, and again, V-cards are so good. Dynamax Hasam. Well, it's a 3D Hasam. Thanks, Vibon. Ermed. NC Empire did a really nice job here. I'm not used to seeing Ermed like this, and the background, while simplistic, is atmospheric and subdued enough for Ermed to have the spotlight. Gyaru. Koki Saito really went through the trouble of drawing all those screws. They're amazing. I guess Gyaru is going to eat them or something? I find it interesting how rendered the background is compared to Gyaru, though. I wonder if that's because Saito doesn't usually deviate from the official art's depiction of their textures. Gigyaru. NC Empire made this really look like the Volcanion movie to me. It looks like Midori Harada work as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is half traditional, if not fully. But maybe I'm wrong. I love the urban setting, and I reckon this is the Motostoke train station or something. I don't know. Gyaru. I love how imperfect the teeth of Gyaru is here. I like seeing those little proofs of being drawn by a real person. It's comparable to enjoying the wobble of Ken Sugimori's lines. But if you told me that Shin Nagasawa drew this, I'd believe you. But no, it's Naoki Saito. I'm not used to this amount of light or even the angle. I'm used to the fisheye or wide angles of Saito's usual work. Zoldo. Akira Komayama did a cute job of depicting Zoldo. Their work feels like a mobile game's gacha art. Very clean and very official, and the blades of grass floating are a cute touch to show that it's a windy day with a passing storm. Dioldo. Koki Saito went for an extreme angle and it paid off. I also see a really good sense of how geometric its design is, as well as how copper-like the orange parts are. I like how you can see the line work in the leaves to the side too. Garura. Kawayo drew Baby Garura so adorably. As usual, the single strokes to show perfect lighting and shadow while also establishing both an oil look and realistic musculature is perfect. I think they work in one layer as well, and the background really makes me feel that they do, and I believe they block in the Pokemon with a general shape before even drawing the initial sketch. It's interesting to see how they always fit in a square or like a trapezoid or anything like that. Just look at Kawayo's work. Nokochi. This is, okay, you know what? This is my favorite. It's so good. It looks like a movie still. I'm impressed with the realistic foreground. I'm impressed with the lighting and the subsurface scattering. Kazuma Koda. I'm gonna keep them on my radar because I can learn a lot from them. Himeguma. Yukiko Baba is back. It's been a while, I think. Their style is very old school Japanese. This one feels like it belongs in a children's story, and the line art is so clean. It could be like a coloring book. I like the gouache look to everything, and I'm confident in saying that this is traditionally painted. Ringuma. The atmosphere is established from the get-go from Uta. You can look at either the claws or the head and have the gray around them show that this is an impending storm. The frills on the shoulders are also beautifully done, and thin. It shows extreme control of their brush, especially with how toothy the rendering is to the point of being smooth. This must have taken quite some time to finish. Eneko. Sayatsuruta and Flowers. Name a more iconic duo. Eneko looks really cute here. It looks like it'd fit well in a diary or a notebook cover. And it could even be in like a Radiant Collection 3. Enekororo. Tika Matsuno. Are they new? Her style is really pretty. It feels like if Sailor Moon was made today. It'd have clean lines like this in a manga. It's very shoujo style, and I like the grain and the light affecting Enekororo to imply short fur. Bowmander. Saki Hayashiro, another newcomer, or at least recent, I think. These colors are what I love to see. I miss when the in-game representations were saturated like back in Generation 5. Dynamax Bowmander. I love the lighting and the angle here. It looks like the texture work here is going to look really nice in person. Mukuru. Naoyo Kimura pulls off another storybook-like look. I like the streaks of white to indicate that Mukuru is flying over the plains really quickly, and perhaps this is where the storm is picking up. Muku Bird. The lighting on these leaves and the cast shadow on the tree are perfect. This is digital artwork at its best, using the tools we have, like blur, to our benefit. Blurring the foreground not only shows that this is a living environment, but it makes us focus on our little bird friend. Chibi did a really good job, and I'd love to see their art popping up more and more in future sets. Mokuhawk. Wow. I mean, maybe I'm easy to please with rim lighting and grain, but look, it looks like Makoto Shinkai. The little whips of wind sell the speed of flight here, and the colors are so saturated, even appearing in the line art and the shading as a form of subsurface scattering. Akira Egawa is so good. Koaruhi, there is Midori Hanada. Taking part in a preschooler-like march, these babies are so cute. I like the angular look to the line art of the main one's face. Swana, Taira Akitsu. The newcomer from S1 is back, and their style is so pleasant to look at. It reminds me of the Fire Force ending art. It's that strong light and geometric shapes that adhere to this perspective while defining the planes of a subject or background perfectly. Everything looks so crystalline here. Hoshigarisu. Wow, Akira Komayama has also done quite a few cards this set. And look how chubby this guy is. My bet is he's about to evolve. Hoshigarisu. Wow, Akira Komayama has done quite a few this time. And look how chubby this guy is. My bet is he's about to evolve. And the line art is so consistent here, and it would work well in a coloring book. Finally, to end off, we have Yokubarisu. We have Koki Saito with possibly the same baby that evolved into this still hungry squirrel friend. And the trunk and the branch are very detailed, and it's something I'm noticing with Koki Saito a lot more now. I like to see that kind of experimentation. And we're done. See you next time.